I feel lost. Lost among the stars, you could trace the constellation of my body. So Lost Constellations is a project by Island, IS/LAND. It's a Asian American contemporary performance art collaborative. And so we are a collective of artists. We have musicians and dancers and poets, that's me, and other artists. And we try to create beautiful and meaningful art. With the rise in anti-Asian American violence across the country, with the shootings in Atlanta and Indianapolis, the way that Asian American women are overly targeted or disproportionately targeted for these anti-Asian American hate crimes, as well as elders and Asian women elders, even worse. And so we wanted to do something that could capture the beauty of Asian American women and elders, and also say something.
Why choose constellations, as the theme? What in particular about that is impactful?
What I did with the poem, right? I started with the idea of a lost constellation and the stars and being lost. You're right there. That's the thing with constellations, right? The stars are there. Whether you see them or not, they're there. And so that's not the issue, right? The stars are there. And so a lot of times Asian Americans are not seen, right, in the popular media as well as in society. I mean, but we're right there, and we've always been there, right? Asian Americans have been in this country since the 1500s.
One of the lines in the poem is coming from one tradition and growing up in another, and choosing to take the best of both to create something new.
Coming from one tradition, growing up in another, and choosing to take the best of both to create something new.
Can you elaborate on that in the context of, exploring interdependence, healing and connecting, and the elders and how all that culminates?
A lot of times when people immigrate, right, for them, their culture stays frozen in time, as of the year that they immigrated, because they remember back very fondly, usually, of their country. But at the same time, right, they're courageous to take this mad adventure, to go to another country, new language, new culture, right? I mean, think how many of us, like we grew up here in America, how many of us would go somewhere, like not speaking language, like $150 in our pocket? It's hard to do, but then at the same time, so they've made this leap, and they bring all these memories and these cultures and these things that they understand. A lot of times in America, there's a lot of things in America that don't make sense to an immigrant. I grew up here, so I'm second generation, and there's still a lot of things in the mainstream culture that don't make sense to me. At the same time, parents are raising children in this way. The children are being socialized, not just by their parents and their parents' original culture, but also by the mainstream culture, the kids on the playground and all that stuff. And so you're caught between two different cultures, and you need to find your way through that in a meaningful way. But some parents really want their children, their daughters especially, to be nice and quiet, right? Because that's a cultural, actually that goes across cultures, right? A lot of people like their daughters to be nice and quiet. And then at the same time, once they grow up, they want them to be outspoken and to be able to go get, to be a go-getter and get that big marketing job, to get that big corporate job or be a lawyer. But how can you do that if you've been socialized your whole life to be nice and quiet? We are a zigzag path of lights as we forge new identities and create real lives in this place. Part of this is this mixed message that you're trying to, how do you fit between cultures? And so a lot of people have to, it's like code switching, but culture switch. So you switch your one way in one culture and you're another way in another culture. How do you build an authentic life for yourself between these two cultures?
We're in AAPI Month. There has been a lot this month, but overall, do you feel that there is ample representation of the AAPI community in the arts?
No, absolutely not. It's there's a huge underrepresentation of Asian American artists, and there needs to be more outreach. There needs to be more financial support, because this is an important part of our American history and our American culture and our American experience. But sometimes museums and curators and arts organizations, they don't necessarily understand that. They put the Asian Americans in a box. They, some people, not all, of course, but some people don't understand the difference between Asian and Asian American, right? That's the first divide, and that's huge, right? And then economic aspect of it, that if you come from immigrants and refugees, you have a much smaller safety net. And how do you go and be an artist without that big, safety net, without intergenerational wealth, without a lot of support? It's really a big risk to take.
To build the bridge of magpies, to bring together the beloved community where everyone is welcome, seen, fed, housed, reunited.
Could you tell us where people can go to experience Lost Constellations and how they can interact with, enjoy the project?
If you want to find out more about Island Asian American Contemporary Performance Collaborative, go to our website. It's is-land.org. And if you would like to see Lost Constellation, go to YouTube and look up the DIA, Detroit Institute of Arts, and Lost Constellation, and you should be able to find it.